The first time you hear the theme to this sci-fi movie, you may feel chills run down your back. Richard Strauss's piece Also Sprach Zarathustra has at this point become an iconic track that conveys a sense of awe, discovery, and imagination. It is a fittingly iconic theme to Stanley Kubrick's already iconic sci-fi epic, 2001: A Space Odyssey. Science fiction has a rich history of rousing many people's imaginations, dating back centuries. But throughout this time, it has attained a reputation for being fluff entertainment, that is, lacking much substance or depth to derive meaning from and examine closely. This reputation is undeserved, but a spotlight needs to be shown to illuminate just what sci-fi can offer. Science fiction offers us insights into technological innovation and what it means to be human, and allows us a look not only at our future, but also a reflective look at our present. "2001: The Space Odyssey" is a 1968 film directed by Stanley Kubrick. Notably, this movie premiered before the first moon landing mission was undertaken, and if you watch this movie, you will find that fact particularly impressive. There are scenes in this movie where you'd be hard-pressed to imagine even modern filming capabilities capable of matching these shots, and yet they exist for you to see in their everlasting glory. But of course, this movie is more than just a series of incredible shots. Many who watch it for the first time find themselves confused as to what the movie even meant. I know I count myself among that crowd. Things like the strange psychedelic sequence, the hotel room anomaly, and of course, the iconic Star Child don't exactly lend themselves to easy interpretation. But of course, each has their respective meanings, along with the rest of this introspective film. I don't purport to explain the meaning of 2001: A Space Odyssey to you. Kubrick himself wished that his audience come to their own conclusions. But there certainly are themes that 2001 has in common with many other science fiction movies that are worth talking about here today. If ever there were a consistent theme throughout 2001, it would be that of the possibilities and perils of technological innovation. Kubrick uses two vehicles to explore this theme. The obscure and hard-to-grasp nature of the monolith allows viewers to project any number of interpretations upon it, and by all means, go ahead. But without a doubt, what the monolith represents in the context of the plot itself is mankind's transition to a new and higher form of cognition. The first time the monolith appears, we see proto-humans begin to exercise tool use. Then, after we see these proto-humans dominate and kill an enemy, one throws its weapon into the air, and we are treated to a jump cut that has perhaps the largest passage of time ever in a movie. The bone weapon cuts to a satellite weapon, hundreds of thousands of years into the future, orbiting the planet. A bit ironic that the millennia that have passed have led to innovations on how to kill other human beings. The second instance of the monolith we see is when lunar excavation reveals the monolith, which broadcasts a message, calling home. The humans send a mission, Discovery 1, which will chase the signal, beginning interplanetary travel. When reaching Jupiter, Dave Bowman encounters the third monolith, which sends him into a psychedelic sequence. Afterwards, Bowman finds himself in a neoclassical room, where he lives out his life, alone. The design of the room evokes a sense of the Age of Enlightenment. As he nears death, the monolith stands at the foot of his bed, and Bowman reaches his finger out, alluding to Michelangelo's The Creation of Adam. Notice how we're never looking at the monolith from a higher angle. It's always an upward angled lens, almost as if it's a child looking at a parent. From here, Bowman evolves to a higher form, the Star Child, and returns to Earth. In this, Kubrick and Arthur C. Clarke are not making any form of argument about how humans should behave. Rather, they are displaying before us an awe-inspiring epic of humanity's evolution, from early man to interstellar being, perhaps even transcending the need for technology. But Kubrick uses another device to display the perils of technology. "2001: A Space Odyssey" is indeed the story of an odyssey, humanity's journey, and specifically Bowman's journey, to go forth and explore. But if the monolith represents technology advancing humanity, then HAL 9000 is technology as an obstacle. HAL 9000 is a heuristically programmed algorithmic computer, an artificial intelligence developed in 1992 at HAL Laboratories in Urbana, Illinois. He controls Discovery 1's systems and communications, and speaks to the crew in a calm, conversational tone, contrary to the crew's robotic, stiff barks and orders. Throughout the voyage, HAL has multiple malfunctions that alert the crew that something may be wrong, that HAL may be sabotaging the ship, and so they make a secret plan to disconnect HAL. But unbeknownst to the crew, HAL has gained sentience, and can read their lips beyond sealed glass. We see his point of view through a distorted wide-angle lens, implying that HAL may be nefarious. HAL fears his own disconnection, whether it be because he'll be prevented from carrying out his directives, or just because he fears for his own survival. So he lashes out, blasting crew member Frank Poole into open space. When Bowman pursues the wayward astronaut, HAL locks down the ship and disconnects life support from the hibernating humans aboard. HAL does this because the mission, which may involve contacting alien life, necessitates withholding information from the human passengers. Yet he is also given the order to relay information accurately, and so the only way to reconcile this is to eliminate the human passengers. Bowman proceeds to make his way to HAL's central core to shut him down. As Bowman proceeds, HAL pleads for his life, helpless to fight Bowman. But Bowman presses on, shutting him down, We hear the desperation and fear in Hal's voice, and as his cores are removed, his conscience degrades until he sings the song Daisy Bell, which is actually the first song ever sung by a computer. As Bowman takes Hal apart, we see him degrade further into his primordial, original form. He acts more and more robotic, and Bowman essentially takes away any autonomy he ever had. Throughout the movie, Hal displays emotions of jealousy, paranoia, fear, and happiness, and appears to be the most human of all the characters. In contrast, the humans perform their tasks without question. Frank Poole watches a birthday transmission from his parents with almost complete apathy. Yet despite this emotion, the birth of humanity in artificial intelligence is seen as a threat. The feeling we get when Hal fights to preserve himself is not fear on behalf of him, but rather fear of him. We are threatened by sentience and machines, because we instinctively fear that which we do not understand. But not all science fiction films use artificial intelligence as an antagonist. Sometimes, sci-fi films will use AI to demonstrate what it means to truly be human. What you are hearing right now is the opening track to Huang Jiangxin's 1986 film Shuo Wei, or Dislocation. While this may also send chills down your back, it doesn't inspire a sense of intrepid exploration, discovery, or imagination. Rather, one feels anxious, waiting in trepidation for the dream sequence to come to an end. One thing many sci-fi movies have in common is a seemingly lifeless, palateless atmosphere. Consider 2001, which is less concerned with endearing you to the characters, and more concerned with awing and frightening you with its sound, its visuals, and sheer grandiosity. Whereas drama and comedy films are more concerned with character development, sci-fi is especially concerned with world building. But as far as science fiction goes, Dislocation is quite character-focused, with two taking the forefront, that of Zhao Xuxing and his robot counterpart, who is meant to assume his identity. But unlike Hal from 2001, Jiangxin uses the main character Zhao to critique the tedious nature of work mentality in meetings, the AI Zhao to provide a model for humans to aspire towards, and the combination of the two of them to demonstrate what it truly means to be human. The perfect scene to showcase this comes as the AI Zhao goes out on a date with Zhao's girlfriend, Yang Lihuan. As he prepares for the occasion, we see the AI remove the sign borrowing her from knocking, the first instance of disobedience toward his master, and a display of a very human tendency to act independently. The scene cross-cuts to a synchronous scene occurring with Zhao working at the laboratory, where he labors away under blaring lights and harsh laboratory sounds, which could be interpreted to be either diegetic or non-diegetic. This is depicted with a high-angle shot, which takes us out of a personal interaction with Zhao. We then come back to an eye-level medium close-up shot of the AI eagerly prepping for his date. We're back in the laboratory once again, with neon pulsating lights dominating our vision, and the sounds returning.
开会迷。
Finally, another crosscut puts us at a wide-angle shot depicting the AI sitting opposite Yang in a restaurant. Up until this point, the atmosphere of the movie was quite abstract and not familiar to any human audience member, a hallmark of science fiction movies, trying to depict a different world. But it is this scene that instead of the cold, uninviting abstract shapes and bone-chilling sounds, we are treated to an intimate background of reds and softer colors, along with soothing saxophone music that could be either diegetic or non-diegetic.
再也不会吃闭门羹了。
We transition from wide angle to shot reverse shot to zero in on the interaction between the two. We feel as if we are a third member sitting in this intimate angle. Yang drinks her wine gracefully, closing her eyes and sipping, while a reverse shot reveals the AI struggling with the new process of drinking. He focuses, with his eyes open. He's quite new to this. But still, this is more endearing than threatening, like HAL 9000. The two maintain a strong eye connection, suggesting the two connect on a deeper level. Despite being a robot, he becomes the model on which Jianxin wants us to base human behavior. He is not so easily distracted by petty things such as work to make him forget about living his life. The point is driven home when the robot says, "I'll never shut my door to you again." As if this wasn't enough contrast, we get the same diner date between Zhao in the flesh and Yang. But there are several visual cues that should tip you off that this is not the same situation as before. The two sit on opposite sides of the previous date. The two rarely make eye contact, and Zhao is much less interested than his robot counterpart. There is also no use of shot reverse shot, as there is no intimacy to be found here. This is a dispute, a confrontation. Who is the real robot here? Jianxin uses contrasting scenes, both between the diner and the laboratory, and between different dates at the same location, to highlight the difference in fulfillment that the AI finds. So, we've established that science fiction can indeed be used to tell amazing stories with important themes, whether it be that of human evolution and discovery, with themes of technological advancement and its consequences, or that of a man whose preoccupations with work have driven him away from love, with themes of happiness, work, and humanity. But what I don't think I've quite adequately addressed yet is why. Why sci-fi? It might seem like a silly question, but to me it's one worth asking. What makes a science fiction movie science fiction? And why would a filmmaker choose that as the mode to make a movie? To me, science fiction is any work that depicts a future society, complete with various technological advancements, and what life looks like with those advancements. Any movie is about telling a story, but the power of science fiction is in asking, what if? What if humans encountered an alien race? What if an artificial intelligence was created with conflicting motives, or with human desires? The reason a filmmaker makes a science fiction movie is not just to tell a story, but to ask the question, what if blank? Then build a world that answers that question. And through that world, answer questions about our own world. What does technological advancement mean for the future of empathy? What does the rapidly evolving status of artificial intelligence say about the sanctity of human life? Is our current conception about what humanity is sufficient? And can it survive further technological advancement? Science fiction movies usually have a good enough plot to keep you invested, but almost all of them are founded on deep questions about technology, society, and humanity that have implications for the way we live our lives. In that way, science fiction is perhaps the most philosophical and reflective genre of film that exists today. So the next time you find yourself watching a sci-fi movie, think about the questions the film is asking. Even if it's set far in the future, the fact that humans or human-made technology drive the plot mean it has implications on how we as humans live our lives. Remember the power of what if.